Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Emmanuel Online. We are so excited that you are here. It's going to be a fantastic morning. We're kicking off a brand new series. I'm going to hang out with you for about 10 minutes before we get started. I'd love to hear where you're watching from today. We'll start off with over on Church Online, which is our website and app. The Luazos are watching from Washington Island, which is one of my favorite places on the whole planet. So let us know where you are on the island. Like, did you rent a place? Are you hanging out? What street are you on? I will know it. Well, my wife would know it, and I might have to phone a friend to figure that out. But I think that that's really cool. Let us know where you're watching from, who you're watching with, and maybe what you had for breakfast. Those are kind of our standard questions every morning. But I hope your day is off to a really, really good start. I think we're supposed to get a break from the heat today. I think it's only in the 70s all day, which will be amazing. Good day for a walk, good day to catch up on the yard work, which I better do. But then I tell myself, it's the Sabbath, and I don't want to do it. So maybe I'll wait till tomorrow. Kick the can down the street, right? That's the best way to do it. But saying good morning to Betty Lou and Julie and Dave. They are watching from the car, and they're just west of Freeport. Dave, Julie, whoever's driving, eyes on the road. I promise we won't do anything too distracting, but stay focused. They're doing a day trip to Galena for wedding planning. That's exciting. I'm excited for you guys. And Galena's beautiful, I hear. I've never been there, but I do know this about Galena, that the slogan is the town that time forgot. Did you guys know that? Did you know that? Galena's the town that time forgot, because way back when they were going to run the railroad through, they could have had the railroad go through Galena, and then Galena would have been the Chicago of Illinois, but it went to Chicago instead, so time forgot Galena. There's a little history lesson for you with Josh. One thing I wanted to do this morning that I thought would be really fun is I would like to, in my own little way, set the world record for the most people in a selfie. So right now we've got about 56 people doing Church Online. I can't see for sure YouTube, and then we've got Facebook, of course. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn, and I'm going to do a selfie, or an ussie, with me and you in the camera, and then, like, unofficially, I would say that's the most people ever in a selfie. We just set a world record, gang. There's like 75 people in that selfie. And I suppose, Guinness is going to get us on a technicality, but we'll ignore them. We'll just keep moving. Christy is over on YouTube. Good morning, Christy. It's good to have you with us. Let's see. They're on the couch in Lake Villa, and they're going to Wheaton to celebrate her nephew's 14th birthday. Happy birthday, Christopher. Excited for you to start a new year. It's got to be weird. I haven't had my birthday yet, but it's got to be weird to have a COVID birthday. We did a birthday party for my kids on Friday night, and we decided we were going to do a scavenger hunt out in the neighborhood. We gave them a smartphone, and we said just take a bunch of pictures, so they were running around expending energy and keeping socially distant. It was awesome. Cheryl Z is over on Church Online. Good morning, Cheryl, from the harbor, having a cinnamon roll and coffee. Classic. I love it. I love it. Where'd you get your cinnamon roll from? Because there's something about a Cinnabon. Feel me on that? Cinnabon, amazing. The frosting. What is it about the frosting? I can't get enough of that frosting. I do want to tell you that we have had a few little internet glitches today. We think we've gotten it all resolved, but just in case we get interrupted, don't worry, the sky is not falling. We'll get back as soon as we can, but I think we've got it all sorted out, and we're going to be good today. Let's see, we've got a few others on Church Online. Let's see. Dave is doing the driving, and he's committed to keeping his eyes on the road. That's really good. The Mattionis are on. Good to see you guys. Hope you're having a great morning so far. It's off to a good start. Nan is here. Good morning, Nan. Lynn Hahn, they're watching from the northeast side of Waukegan. Good to have you guys here this morning. Carol R. is on from Waukegan. Good to see you. Hope your day's off to a good start. I'm trying to find our Facebook situation so that I can say hi to people that are on Facebook. I'll get to you in a second. But I also want to point your attention to our awesome hosts that are on every Sunday with you. So several of our staff members, there's a few on each platform. So whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook or Church Online, there are real people talking to you. And I'm so thankful for them because they sit and they stare at a screen all morning just to connect with you. I also hope you'll pay attention as the morning goes on. There's always going to be little pop-ups and links that come up, whether we're talking about signing up to participate in something or giving or just want you to know about something that's going on. So you'll want to kind of always have your eyes open for those things that are kind of happening on the side, because Church Online is a different animal. We don't get to just like sit, right? It's participatory. So I hope you're commenting as well and participating in that way. Oh, we're up on Facebook. I can see people now. Catherine Riddle is here. Good morning. Lori and Ronnie Scott. Ronnie, good to hear from you, man. How's Louisiana? You staying cool? Because I bet it is sweltering down there. Miss you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Ronnie is one of the sweetest people on the planet. He always would come into the welcome room and say hi to me and good morning and encourage me. I'm thankful for you, man. Good to see Lori. Let's see if I can open this up a little wider so that I can see more. There we go. Quinn O'Brien is here. Good morning, Quinn. Good to see you. Deanna Bailey, Patrick Griffin, Brian Carrico is here. Good to see you all. Jeff Indlecoffer and the Indlecoffer family. They had blueberry waffles. Are they homemade? Are they homemade blueberry waffles or are they Eggo waffles? Either one counts. Eggos are good. Lego my Eggo, remember that? Let me know what your favorite breakfast food commercial is in the comments. The internet's going to think we're really weird that we're talking about that stuff on a church broadcast, but that's okay. Let the internet think we're weird. What was your favorite breakfast food commercial? So it could be from like Eggos or cereal or even a fast food breakfast commercial. I am partial. I don't know why. But I'm partial to the Lucky Charms commercials. Do you remember those? Where what was the leprechaun's name? I don't remember. I think Lucky might have been his name. And he was always after the kids were always after his Lucky Charms, and you know, he was a good little Irish guy. It was fun. Those commercials were great. We don't do commercials anymore, do we? That's tough. That's really tough. My kids are missing out. My son had a friend over, and his dad is my age, and so we were talking about like the old Nintendo that his dad still has, and he's like, yeah, my dad, this is so funny. He goes, my dad told me that way back in the day, you could only watch certain shows at certain times. And he would have to get up in the morning and watch them on Saturday morning, all his favorite shows. And I just started laughing because I thought, I'm old. Like that now our kids just watch whatever they want, whenever they want. They don't know what appointment television is, and I kind of miss it, right? Let's see, Savannah is here. Good to see you, Savannah. Suzanne is here. Maureen. Something about Cinnabon came up in the comments. I don't... You do have to run a lot for a Cinnabon because there's like 1,500 calories in one of those, and that's the miniature one. But, you know, it's a small price to pay for 10 minutes of glory. I would say that's the best. Cinnabon is the best. Remember, give me a thumbs up if you remember Lakehurst Mall from back in the day in Waukegan. They had a Cinnabon there right next to the Foot Locker. And I would go hang out at the Foot Locker looking for shoes, and then Cinnabon would come wafting in, and so I would beg my dad to take me over there. And he always would. There's one thing I could sucker my dad into getting me all the time, and it was a Cinnabon. Anyway, it's good to have you all here this morning. Like I said, we're going to kick off a brand new series that we're calling Like, Subscribe, Comment, and Share, and we're going to look at all the different times that Jesus walked up to somebody and said, follow me. You get that said to you an awful lot with all the different companies and people and influencers on social media. So we're really excited to kick that off. We're also going to be sharing with you another check drop where we shared some finances with some people in our community that are doing amazing things. It's going to be a fun morning. Make sure that you are participating the whole way through. We don't want you just sitting there Let us know who you're watching with. Continually comment. Let us know your favorite line from songs, from the sermon, and all of that kind of thing. We're going to get started in just a few seconds, so don't go anywhere. It's going to be a good day. We'll see you soon. Well, good morning, everybody. We are so excited that you are here. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for inviting us into your home today. We are going to have a lot of fun together and hopefully inspire you as you head into your new week. As you're watching, please do comment. Let us know where you're watching and who you're watching with. And if you have any questions, be sure to just throw them in the comments, and somebody from our host team will be in touch with you and help you find the answers that you need. If it's your first time with us, we are really excited that you are here. Will you do us a huge favor and fill out our digital Connect card? It's going to pop up right about now in the comments or on your screen. If you fill that out, and I promise you, it'll take you about 13 seconds. You can time me. 13 seconds. You fill it out and submit it. We're going to send you a thank you gift. And here's the best news. The thank you gift is something you actually want. It's a Starbucks gift card. Doesn't that sound good? But I know what you're thinking. Maybe I'll run out to Starbucks right now. Do that in about 45 minutes, will you? Just wait a little bit longer, stick with us, and then head to Starbucks. Fill out the card. In fact, I haven't had Starbucks in 4 months. 4 months. That's a feat, right? So maybe I'll fill one out. But they told me I can't. So I'll leave it up to you. You take care of it, and we'll love to send you one. Again, that digital Connect card, really simple, popping up right now. This week, I got a chance to sit down with the Lake County State's Attorney. His name is Mike Nierheim. And he's been pioneering a group of people that have come together around our opioid problem in Lake County and offering help and assistance to people that are struggling with that addiction. It has a very near and dear place to my heart. And so we hit record while we had that conversation because this has been part of our 5%. As you remember, in May and June, we've given 5% of every dollar that's come into Emmanuel back out to people in the community that are doing effective and amazing work. And this is one of them. So take a look. This is my conversation with Mike Nierheim. Hey everybody, I am so excited to be with the Lake County State's Attorney, Mike Nierheim, today, and he is going to introduce us to a group and an initiative that is doing some incredible work in our county that I care deeply about because of our recovery ministry at Emmanuel and the things that we're trying to do and the people that we're trying to help. So Mike, can you just share real quick, like, what is the Lake County Opioid Initiative and how are we helping today?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Pastor. So the Opioid Initiative is a group that I chair that's essentially a group of all sorts of great people that come together to help combat the opioid epidemic. So we have people from public and private sector, we have government leaders, state lawmakers, federal lawmakers, county board, law enforcement from the locals to the feds, corporations, people in recovery, our faith community, our treatment community, just regular people that want to come out and help out. Sadly, we have quite a bit of folks that have lost loved ones to overdose that are trying to make a difference. So it's really a great program where you have all these different people that come together and work together towards this horrible scourge that we're all dealing with.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most amazing parts is that it's so many people from so many different corners of our county coming together for that purpose. It's amazing.
It's really neat. And I just can't thank you and your congregation enough, not only for the work that you do, certainly I've been there, I've seen it, and certainly the donation is hugely important to us, and it's very timely because this is a really tricky time for people in recovery. Because as you know, with COVID, it's really disrupted everybody's lives, but people struggling with addiction, when COVID first hit, treatment providers closed their doors, kicked people out into the streets, and the addiction didn't go away. So you have this horrible, this situation where you have people that really need help and don't know where to go. So it's groups like yours and others that were able to stay open and keep helping people, and the Opioid Initiative. We've been there all along working together, and we just really appreciate the support, and it's definitely going to go to good use here in Lake County.
Yeah, we're excited. So, Emmanuel, we have committed 5% of every dollar that's come in both the months of May and June. We've committed that 5% to go back out to our friends in the community doing work, just like this initiative. So we're really excited to be able to write you a $2,000 check today. That's going to go towards what you guys are doing, and I know that you'll make great use of it. Can you just if people are interested in more information, we'll share this link, but if people are interested in seeing more about it, where would they go?
Absolutely, and I'll get the link to you, but the Lake County Opioid Initiative has a website that I'll get you the link, and there's also a great program called the A Way Out, which is a way for people to access treatment through the police 24/7 with no arrest, regardless of their situation. There's a website, I'll get you that link too. It's awayoutlc.org. Just great information, and if anybody in your congregation is interested in getting involved in the Opioid Initiative, we'd love to have you. It's a great organization, and it just feels good to be a part of it.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, thanks so much for all that you do. Thanks for jumping on and letting us be part of this with you. And Emmanuel, thank you so much for your generosity. You're the best.
It's so fun to get to be part of a community that's so generous and desires so much to make a real and lasting impact in our community. So I just want to say from the very bottom of my heart, thank you. Thank you for leading the way. Thank you for not being content to sit on the sideline and hope that things get better for our neighbors, but actually making a difference. And I hope that you'll continue to give. My promise is that we'll continue to do things like what you just saw and what you've been seeing over the last several weeks, so that when people hear the name Emmanuel Church, they first think of Jesus and a God who loves them, but then they think of a community that's made a difference in theirs. So I want to pray. We're going to sing a song. The team's here, and they're going to lead us together in this, and I hope you'll sing along. I know that can be a little awkward, especially if you're having a watch party with a bunch of people in the house, but I believe that this is a chance for us to pause, slow down, let our hearts get in touch with God's as we get ready to continue on together this morning. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for the generosity of those watching. And even right now, as they might be giving through Church Online or Venmo or PayPal, or they've written a check and mailed it in, I'm just so grateful that they are willing to take that kind of step of faith at such an uncertain time in our history. Lord, our hope is that you would help us to always remember to use it wisely, because we believe that you'll do more with it than we could ever imagine to do with it ourselves, and that countless lives can be touched and transformed through you. So God, ultimately, it's all for you, not us. This isn't for this organization. This is for you, your kingdom, and your work. And so as we sing, God, we pray that it brings a smile to your face, because our life is about glorifying you. We love you. Amen.
I love you, Lord. Oh, your mercy never fails me. And all my days I've been held in your hands. From the moment that I wake up until I lay my head, I will sing of the goodness of God. And all my life you have been faithful. And all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God.
pray that those aren't just empty words, but that we will shout from the mountaintops how good you are. And God, even when we're in the valleys, we're trusting that you are who you tell us you are, and that you are faithful and you are good. Amen.
I'm smiling because I was standing right down there as Joanna was praying, and as she wrapped it up, I anticipated her saying, "You may be seated," which is kind of funny because there's literally nobody here, and the few that are already seated, and you're probably still seated at home. This is a weird time. So with that in mind, I've just gotten more and more nostalgic, right? Because we don't have anything new to watch, so you think about all of the old things, and on the pre-service thing, we were talking about old commercials, but I was going back to old games this week. Do you remember this one? It's called Simon. When I was a kid, it was a much larger device than this. I don't know why it's gone so miniature. But this game was one of the most fun and challenging and frustrating games all at the same time. And it's essentially Simon Says. And so what you do is you push one button and it starts to light up, as you can see, and it will give you a pattern that you're supposed to play and follow. So it will do it, and I don't know why it's not doing it now, but it'll do the little pattern, light it up, and then it's your turn and you have to repeat it. And if you get it right, it'll do a new pattern or add to the first pattern. And it just gets more and more complicated, and it moves more and more quickly, and eventually it just feels totally, totally beyond human capability, and eventually you lose. And for me, this game is sometimes a great illustration of what a lot of us think about religion. That religion often seems like it's just one big game of Simon. There's a pattern, and if you can follow the pattern and you can get it just right, then you win at Christianity, right? And for a lot of us, we decided we didn't want any part of that because we don't like to lose. And so we did just like we did with this game when we were kids, and we decided, I'm just not going to participate. So if someone would pull this out and they would play and they would get frustrated, you'd kind of take the mindset of, if I never play, I can't lose, which means I'm at least a step ahead of those who did play and did lose. And so we keep religion, or we keep Christianity in particular, at arm's length because we just don't want to deal with that kind of embarrassment. Or if we're a Christian, we reduce Christianity to a pattern that if we do it right and we do it often enough, then we're going to get a good grade and we're going to get to pass and we're going to get to level up, and it becomes this kind of going through the motions sort of thing. And we forget, we lose sight of the relational aspect of what it means to follow Jesus. We live in a day and age where social media is everything, right? And we are on Facebook, and some of you are on Facebook right now, or Instagram or Twitter, and sometimes we lose, even in social media, the social aspect, and I think the same thing happens in our Christian faith. We forget that it's more than religion. It's actually a relationship. And Jesus comes along and he begins to redefine that for us. And he puts very intimate and loving and caring terminology around the idea of being a Christian or following him, following the way, as it was often called in the first century. He uses terms like father and child. Well, that's very different than here's the pattern, do the pattern. It's very different than the Bible says, so do what the Bible says. It's this loving, caring relationship. Another metaphor that he often used was vine and branches. There's a deep connection. One does not work without the other. And he would often say, Jesus said, in fact, explicitly once, I am the vine, you are the branches. I'm going to give you life. I'm going to keep you growing each day. Another that he uses is shepherd and sheep, one that cares for and looks after and protects and leads us. All three of those, for me, are very different than just some pattern that I have to mimic, some motions that I have to go through, some boxes that I have to check. And that's why for me this series is so important. Because the idea of following Jesus can sometimes be confusing. It can often get misconstrued and ultimately be something that we keep at arm's length or walk away from entirely. And the good news for me and for you is that Jesus offered us more. And so I want to look at a moment where Jesus walks up to a guy that most people would have expected he would never give the time of day to. In fact, most people would have expected that when Jesus met Matthew, he would have rejected any kind of relationship with him at all because of his profession. And it was Matthew himself that wrote this interaction down, and I'd love to look at it together. It's Matthew chapter 9. It's recorded as Jesus was walking along, he saw a man named Matthew sitting at his tax collector's booth, and hold on to that being his profession. Jesus says, "Follow me and be my disciple." So Matthew got up and followed him. You need to understand something about tax collectors in the first century in the middle of Israel. They were hated. And I don't use that word flippantly. They were literally despised. Here's why. One, they were tax collectors. Nobody likes getting their money taken from them after they've worked hard to earn it. But secondly, the tax that they're collecting is for Rome, who had occupied Israel. So they're the bad guys. And here's Matthew, a Jew, working for Rome, giving them money. And then the third layer on this overly ugly onion is that he would pad the numbers just like every other tax collector. So it wasn't just a tax collector booth. They'd collect tolls, whether that was at a boundary or a boat dock or some other place where anywhere they could collect money, they would add to it, and the additional money that Rome had said this was okay, the additional money they could just put in their pocket. So if anyone was going to get yelled at by Jesus, it should have been Matthew. But here's what's so fascinating to me. Jesus doesn't scold Matthew. He doesn't yell at him. I suppose Matthew could have been like, you know what, I'm going to leave that part out. But there's others that recorded this interaction too, and they don't add in, and then Jesus really put him in his place and told him how messed up he was. Doesn't happen. Jesus walks up to this guy that nobody else liked, that no one else wanted to be around, that no one else wanted to have a relationship with, and he said, "Come, follow me." And understand, this is a rabbi invitation. This isn't just like, hey, we're all going to the corner store to get some candy and pop, and you should come with us. This was, no, follow me, be like me, listen to me, learn from me, and carry on everything that I teach you. No one thought that the Messiah, the Son of God, would invite this guy to follow him. But he does. And what happens next is even more perplexing, because Jesus says, "Follow me," and then he follows Matthew. Take a look. Later, Matthew invited Jesus and his disciples to his home as dinner guests, along with many tax collectors and other disreputable sinners. You see what I mean? So Jesus says, "Follow me," and then Matthew goes, "Okay, well, follow me first to my house, because I got some people you should meet, and we'll have a meal, and we'll hang out, and we'll get to know each other, and we'll start this relationship off right." And that sounds really nice. That sounds like a really cool invitation, really like hospitable of Matthew. But we're talking about a sinner. And understand the mindset of a Jew in that day would have been, if I go into the home of a sinner, then I'm going to get their sin on me. It was literally looked at like cooties when you were in second grade. If I touch it, I'm going to get it, and I don't get it, so I'm not going to go into their house. I'm not going to become unclean. And yet, Jesus gets the invitation from Matthew, and Jesus says, "Okay, point the way. Here we go." And then he walks into the house, and if any of the other disciples were paying attention, and they walk in, I mean, they were already uneasy, but they walk in and they see all of these people who had bad reputations sitting in Matthew's home. They had a Sesame Street moment. Do you remember that, when they used to do one of these things is not like the other and doesn't belong? That was everyone's experience in this moment. It was like when you, in the movies, when they walk into like a bar or a restaurant and everybody stops and looks at them like, "What are you doing here?" You don't belong here. And I'm just totally dumbfounded. And we should move and live and think differently in our everyday life because of this fact that Jesus spent time with people who got the pattern wrong. If religion in that day, like it often is in our day, was treated like a game of Simon where it's going to light up and it's going to be in a certain order with the certain sounds and you got to do it all in that order and get it just right, then the people at Matthew's house, including Matthew, had gotten it wrong. They had lost. And according to Jewish tradition, they would have been excluded from participating in all things Jewish from that point on. And yet, Jesus sits down at their table with them, which is eye-opening because so often in our day and age, I find Christians are very bothered by being associated with somebody that's not a Christian or does some things that we're afraid if we hang out with them, then we think we're condoning whatever it is that they've done in their life. And that's kind of what Jesus comes up against here, and his reply is amazing and complex and beautiful. But the Pharisees show up, and they have questions, just like you and I would fear the questions that would get aimed at us. So Jesus is hanging out, they're having a meal, they're talking, maybe even laughing, they're getting along. Everybody around the table is going, this Jesus guy, he's all right. And the Pharisees knock on the door, and this is what they have to say. When they saw this being everybody around the table, they asked his disciples, and I just imagine it being like this. It wasn't like a big in front of everybody. It was like, hey, Peter, come out here. Come here real quick. And Peter would be like, whoa, this is a Pharisee. I need to do what they say. And they say, why does your teacher eat with such scum? Do you know who those people are? Have you heard of their reputation? This guy that you left your boat for, this guy that you walked away from everything and you've decided is going to be the leader of your life, do you understand that he's eating with scum? And then Jesus, hearing this, says, healthy people don't need a doctor. Sick people do. I don't know if you knew that, Pharisee, but healthy people never go to the hospital. And then he goes on. Now go and learn the meaning of this scripture. I want you to show mercy, not offer sacrifices. Hold on to that quote. It comes from a guy named Hosea. For I have come to call not those who think they're righteous, but those who know they are sinners. Jesus, in this moment, he starts to redefine his messiahship. He starts to redefine his mission. He starts to redefine what religion was all about. And he's starting to point to it's a relationship. And I'm all about people who are far from me, all about people who are sick. But that quote, I told you it came from a guy named Hosea. If you go back to your Old Testament, to the Jewish scriptures, and you read Hosea, he's one of the prophets. We call him a minor prophet, and we won't get into all that. But Hosea tells his story, and part of his story was God saying, Hosea, you're going to marry Gomer. And Hosea went, what? Did you say Gomer, God? Gomer like the prostitute Gomer? Yep, that's what I'm saying, Hosea. God, I'm pretty sure she's not going to stay faithful. Nope, she won't, Hosea. In fact, she's going to break your heart over and over and over again. And I'm going to ask you to forgive her over and over and over again. Why, God? Because, Hosea, your life and your relationship with Gomer is going to stand as an example of my relationship with all people. Because here's the deal, whether it's Israel or the Gentiles or anyone, the nature of people is that they're going to cheat on God. They're going to find other things to worship. They're going to find other things to put in the number one seat of their life. And then something is going to happen and they're going to come back to God and they're going to say, please forgive me, please take me back. And every time God's going to say, okay. Because he came for the sinners. He came for the broken. He came for the disreputable people. And he invites them to follow him. You see, what Jesus is doing is he's talking about a different center of orbit from the Pharisees. In other words, what everything revolves around in religion is a very modern kind of thinking. And I know we're talking about ancient days, so how can that be modern? But it works something like this. If you believe what we're telling you and you behave differently, then you can belong. Or if you change, then you can join in on this. Jesus says, no, the center of my orbit is mission. I've come to seek and save the lost. And when everything orbits around that, the catchphrase is different. Instead of change and you can join, it's join and you will change. That's just going to happen. So, Matthew, before you decide you're not going to be a tax collector anymore, before you decide everything you've ever done is wrong, just follow me, and I'll get you there. And he quotes Hosea to help people understand. For all of time, humanity has decided to wander from God. And Jesus comes along and he says, follow me, come on back. The door's open. Even for you, Matthew. Even for you, the one who has stabbed his own people in the back, cheated them out of their money. I'm calling you to be not one of the masses that have followed me, but one of the 12, one of the closest to me. It's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling to think that Jesus invites unbelievers and misbehaviors to follow him. It's not just the good ones. It's not just the clean ones. It's not just the ones that go to church every week. It's not just the ones that know all the Christian words. It's not just the ones that know how to do the pattern in the right order and all of that kind of stuff. Jesus comes along, and you're going to see this over and over again in this series. He comes up to people who are not believers, and they are misbehaviors, and he says, follow me. I don't know that in this moment that Matthew totally and fully understood who Jesus was. I really don't. I think he thought, I've heard some things about this guy. He's giving me an invitation to something that's better than just sitting in this tax collector's booth, so I'm going to begin to follow him. Jesus did not scold Matthew and say, get it all together, get it all figured out, make sure you've read the Bible cover to cover, go to 3 Bible studies, make sure you've prayed on average once a day for a month, and then you can follow me. It's no. Follow me, and I'm going to teach you as we go. And you're going to see that next week when Jesus invites 2 sets of brothers. He says, follow me, and I'm going to teach you something as we go. Here's the reality, something for you to chew on. Jesus invites before anyone is right. You see, the truth is, if you are a sinful person, and I know that our definition of sin can get all kinds of jumbled, and depending on who you talk to, we might define that differently, and you know what I mean. Sin is not something that makes you ineligible. It's a prerequisite. Every single person that Jesus invites to follow him is a sinner. I'm a sinner. I haven't gotten it all right. Matthew did not have it all right. You don't have to have it all right. He invites before you've got it all figured out. Secondly, Jesus invites everyone to a relationship, not a religion, a relationship. And here's why, because it's in the context of a relationship that we change most. Jesus, having made us, knowing how we're put together, knows the best way to help us get to the best version of ourselves. And this is not like a, self-help, better yourself kind of talk. But Jesus knows how we work, and so he knows the best way for me to get them to come back to God, the best way for me to get them to be like me in my life is to be in a relationship with them. And that's what he invites you into. And make no mistake, relationships can be messy. They have ups and they have downs. They have moments of certainty and they have moments of doubt. They have moments of getting everything right and moments of getting most things wrong. And that is what Jesus invites us to. He also invites us, each one, to focus on just one, him. You see, what happens in Christian circles and in churches often is we start to focus on everybody else. How am I doing in comparison to them? Am I a little bit ahead of them? Because then I can sleep at night. If I know I'm just doing a little bit better in my faith journey than so-and-so down the row or down the couch, then I feel better. And Jesus says, no. All you've got to do is follow me. All you've got to do is keep your eyes on me. So don't make it about how far ahead of them you are. Make it about how far behind me you are. You just stay focused on how am I growing to be like Jesus, not how are they not. Because Jesus says, follow me. He doesn't say follow us. He doesn't say look at these guys and be like them. He says look at me and be like me. So, in the end, it all comes back to this idea. Jesus invites unbelievers and misbehaviors to follow him. So as you're watching this morning, I don't know where you're at. For some of you, you're still right here, whether you call yourself a Christian or otherwise. You're still in this place. This is what church and Christianity is to you. It's a game. And I can decide whether or not I'm going to play it. And when I play it, it's all about winning and getting it right and doing it perfectly. And Jesus says, I'm not here to play games. I'm here for you. I'm here for you. So follow me. And the good news is I'm on all the platforms. You're going to see next week, Jesus shows up at a boat. This week, he showed up at a tax collector's booth. With another one of the disciples, he shows up under a tree. He's on all the platforms, so no matter where you are, Jesus will show up there and he'll invite you into that relationship. In fact, I would go so far as to say that right now, today, he's inviting you into that relationship. And you want to know the best part? You don't got to get the pattern right to start following him. You just got to start. You just got to start. So I would encourage you today to make a decision. And maybe you say it out loud. Jesus, today I'm going to follow you. In fact, I would encourage all of us, no matter where we are on our journey, to pray this prayer every day. It's really simple. Jesus, wherever you go today, I'm going with you. Wherever you go today, I'm going with you. I'm going to start following you. I don't know where that's going to lead. I don't know where that's going. I don't have all the answers. I don't know how to win the game yet, but I'm just going to follow you wherever you go. And that might lead you to read Matthew or Mark or Luke or John. That might lead you to join something like Starting Point. That might lead you to pray for the very first time. And that prayer might go something like this: Jesus, today I start. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for coming for me. Thank you for loving me. Today I'm going to start following you. Forgive me for all the wrong directions I've gone and all the ones I will go. But I'm going to keep my eyes on you. And I'm going to be like you. I'm going to do like you. Think like you. I'm going to follow you. The band's going to come out here in this next minute, and they're going to sing a song that, for me, is a song that Matthew could have written. Maybe he did write songs, but odds are that wasn't in his wheelhouse. But there's a title we've given to Jesus for the last 2,000 years that is fitting, and I think it starts with Matthew's story: friend of sinners. Friend, the kind that sit down at the dinner table with people who have gotten the pattern all wrong. And yet, there he is. For them, for you, for me. So I want to pray. And I hope as you sit in your living room or in your car or your bedroom, that you would listen to the words of these songs and not only use them as your own prayer, but allow them to be true of you. Lord Jesus, thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, from the bottom of our hearts, for loving us enough to come to where we are and invite us into a relationship with you before we had it all figured out. Thank you for being a friend to this sinner. Help us to never, ever forget that you are for that sinner too. Amen.
Jesus, friend of sinners, we have strayed so far away. We cut down people in your name, but the sword was never ours to swing. And Jesus, friend of sinners, the truth's become so hard to see. The world is on their way to you, but they're tripping over me. Always looking around but never looking up. I'm so double-minded. A blank-eyed saint with dirty hands and a heart divided. Oh, Jesus, friend of sinners, open our eyes to the world at the end of our pointing finger. Let our hearts be led by mercy. Help us reach with open hearts and open doors. Oh, Jesus, friend of sinners, break our hearts for what breaks yours.
Jesus, I'm thinking that if you are the friend of sinners, we should be too. So, will you lead us? We'll follow you wherever you go today, even if that means to dinner with someone nothing like us, who believes nothing like us, but that you love just like us. In Jesus' name, amen. Thanks so much for letting us be a part of your weekend. We really do consider that a great, great privilege. I want to invite you tomorrow night, Monday at 7 p.m. to join us for the second installment of The Messy Middle. It's a conversation between me and Jarrell Belanger, our executive pastor. We're talking through race, not just in America, but in our own backyards. I hope you'll be with us again tomorrow night at 7 p.m. I also would ask that you follow us on all things social media, whether that's Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube. We're always putting out content for you to stay connected as the week goes on. I hope you'll join us next Sunday, same time, same place. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.